Ancient Egypt was a land where the living and the dead shared the same world. The Nile, the temples, and the tombs were not only the domain of humans, they were filled with unseen forces, spirits, and entities that could bring misfortune, illness, or even death. To survive, Egyptians relied on rituals, spells, and sacred objects designed to protect against these malevolent forces. From the moment a child was born, rituals were performed to shield them from evil spirits. Priests, family members, and sometimes magical practitioners invoked protective deities, recited spells, and placed amulets on the newborn. The Eye of Horus, the scarab beetle, and tiny figurines served as guardians, their presence a shield against harm, both physical and spiritual. Houses and dwellings were not exempt. Thresholds were marked with protective symbols. Amulets were hung above doors and windows to prevent intrusions by spirits. Families performed daily rituals, offering food, incense, and prayers to ward off evil. Even simple gestures, like sprinkling water or burning herbs, were believed to repel unseen dangers lurking in corners or shadows. Priests played a central role in these protective practices. They possessed knowledge of spells, incantations, and ceremonial rites that could influence the spiritual world. Some rituals were performed publicly, in temples or at riverbanks, while others were secret, conducted quietly in homes or tombs. The goal was always the same: to keep evil at bay, maintain harmony, and protect both life and afterlife. Spells could be inscribed on papyrus, carved into statues, or painted on walls. Some were recited aloud, others whispered to avoid attracting attention. Each word mattered. A mispronunciation could render the spell useless or even backfire. Magic in Egypt was precise, deliberate, and immensely powerful when performed correctly. Amulets, often worn as jewelry or hidden in clothing, served as constant protection. They were not mere decoration. Each symbol carried divine significance. The Ankh for life, the Jed pillar for stability, and the Waz scepter for power, all functioned as spiritual armor. Certain amulets were even placed in graves to protect the deceased from malevolent spirits seeking to disrupt their journey to the afterlife. The Egyptians also feared demons and restless spirits. Some were believed to inhabit deserts, tombs, or abandoned structures, waiting to harm the unwary. Others could attach themselves to living people, causing sickness, madness, or misfortune. Rituals against these entities included purification ceremonies, offerings, protective chants, and symbolic gestures intended to repel, trap, or banish the evil forces. Some rituals were dramatic and elaborate. Priests might circle a home or temple, sprinkling sacred water and reciting powerful invocations. Animals, considered sacred, were sometimes used in ceremonies. Cats, ibises, and crocodiles could serve as spiritual intermediaries, their presence amplifying the protective magic. Even the construction of homes, tombs, and temples incorporated ritual protections, embedding spells in bricks, stones, and foundations. But protection was not only for individuals or homes. Entire cities, temples, and riverbanks were safeguarded through collective rituals. During festivals or times of crisis, such as floods, plagues, or invasions, priests performed grand ceremonies, invoking gods like Thoth, Sekhmet, and Bastet to protect the populace from evil forces. The line between religion, magic, and governance was blurred. Divine protection was essential for both spiritual and political stability. Even the afterlife required protection. The deceased faced dangerous spirits, hostile demons, and obstacles in the underworld. Spells, amulets, and rituals were employed to ensure a safe journey, to ward off the entities that threatened the soul, and to guarantee rebirth and eternal life.
Without these protections, even a pharaoh could face spiritual harm, wandering the afterlife vulnerable to malicious forces. Magic, protection, and ritual were woven into every aspect of Egyptian life. The fear of evil spirits shaped behavior, architecture, and society. Every household, every temple, and every tomb contained layers of protections, visible and invisible. The Egyptians lived in a world where survival depended on understanding the unseen, respecting the divine, and performing rituals to ensure balance between life, death, and the spiritual world. The Egyptians believed that evil spirits were not only real, but everywhere, lurking in tombs, deserts, rivers, and even within human hearts. Some spirits were vengeful ancestors. Others were demons seeking chaos. Some were restless souls unable to reach the afterlife. The fear of these entities shaped every aspect of daily life and inspired a vast system of protective rituals. Priests were the masters of these protections. They performed complex ceremonies to banish harmful spirits, often using incense, sacred water, and carefully recited spells. Chants could be repeated for hours, invoking gods like Thoth for wisdom, Bastet for protection, and Sekhmet for divine justice. Each ritual was precise. Timing, words, and gestures all had to align, for even the slightest error could render the spell useless or invite greater harm. Amulets were vital in these practices. They were not just decorative charms, they were conduits of divine power. The scarab beetle protected against evil and symbolized rebirth. The Eye of Horus shielded from illness, misfortune, and malevolent forces. Even simple tokens placed in cradles, homes, or coffins acted as barriers against unseen threats. Some amulets were worn by pharaohs and nobles, while others were hidden in walls or buried under doorways, invisible yet powerful. Certain rituals were terrifying in their complexity. In cases of powerful spirits or curses, priests would create effigies or symbolic representations of the enemy. These figures were bound, pierced, or trapped as part of a ceremonial exorcism designed to neutralize the harmful force. Blood, fire, and sacred oils were sometimes used to amplify the ritual's potency. The Egyptians understood that magic was a weapon, one that could heal or destroy, protect or punish. Even homes were fortified spiritually. Daily offerings of food, water, or incense to protective spirits were commonplace. Thresholds and doorways were marked with hieroglyphic symbols. Animals, cats, ibises, crocodiles were revered and sometimes incorporated into rituals to amplify protection. These practices were both preventative and defensive, creating layers of safeguards against entities that could bring sickness, misfortune, or death. Royalty relied heavily on such rituals. The pharaoh's protection extended beyond his body to his palace, army, and even tomb. Grand ceremonies ensured that evil spirits could not interfere with the king's reign or afterlife. Magical inscriptions, amulets, and carefully designed tomb architecture
worked together as an invisible fortress of spiritual defense. Even enemies who might threaten the pharaoh's rule were vulnerable to these protections, for Egyptian magic did not discriminate. It was the tool of the powerful and the divine. The dead, too, were shielded by these rituals. Tombs contained spells, amulets, and inscriptions to guide the soul safely through the underworld. Demons, snakes, and restless spirits could be neutralized by protective magic. Even the smallest mistake, a misplaced amulet, a forgotten incantation, could imperil the journey, leaving the soul vulnerable to harm and eternal unrest. But magic was not only defensive, it was also a form of authority. The pharaoh and priests controlled these unseen forces. Fear of spirits reinforced obedience.
Rituals were public demonstrations of divine protection, showing that rulers could command both the mortal and the supernatural world. This control over unseen forces enhanced political, social, and spiritual power simultaneously. Dangerous spirits were given their own methods of restraint. Binding spells could immobilize malevolent entities. Sacred figurines and statues could trap them. Exorcisms expelled them from homes, tombs, or even individuals. Some of the most powerful spells were recorded in papyri and temple walls, detailing instructions for rituals that could last days, sometimes weeks, to ensure complete protection. Even ordinary Egyptians participated in smaller-scale rituals. Households made offerings, placed protective amulets, and whispered prayers to ward off harm. Children were safeguarded by charms and spells. Animals, crops, and even water supplies were imbued with protective magic. The invisible world of spirits dictated behavior, shaped society, and maintained order through fear, reverence, and obedience. Ultimately, these rituals reveal how deeply the Egyptians intertwined magic with everyday life. They were a civilization that saw the unseen as powerful and real, where survival, health, and prosperity depended on respect for spiritual forces. Amulets and spells were shields, weapons, and instruments of control, protecting the living, guiding the dead, and maintaining cosmic balance. In ancient Egypt, evil spirits were not merely legends. They were part of a living, breathing world, one where the line between life and afterlife, seen and unseen, was fluid. Through rituals, spells, and amulets, Egyptians defended themselves, controlled destiny, and imposed order on chaos. Magic was their weapon, their shield, and their guide, an invisible but undeniable force, shaping every aspect of existence in the land of the Nile.